Hello, my name is H.A. Burren. I'm the author of the Valiant series, and in this video I'm going to do 4 book reviews, but they're all in the same series, and 3 of them are short, little bits of the series. You'll see. Okay, so I'm going to do 4 book reviews. Before I do my book reviews, I want to say it's so important to review books. It helps authors so very much in a way we cannot help ourselves. Whenever you review a book, it helps the potential readers, the potential buyers, to understand if they would want to read that book or not. And also it extends the reach of our books. The more reviews, the more the algorithm shows it to more people. So if you read a book, please do review it. Review it on Amazon, on Goodreads, on wherever you bought it. Review it on your social media. Just spread the word about books, especially if you like the books and want to support the books. That's like the best way to support authors, is to read their books and review them. So the books I'm going to review today are all in the Valiant series by Joanna White. I am her editor, so they're going to be review endorsements because I do really like her books. I was her friend and her reader before I became her editor, and when I became her editor I just like her books even more. So the first one I'm going to do is Hunter. Now I have done a book review of Hunter, the paperback, or ebook, I can't remember which one, and that I will link that in the description below. Now I also got a link from her to listen to the audiobook for free when she was doing like promotions for it, so I listened to it too, and I did have more about the audiobook. So first, Hunter is the first book in the Valiant series, and just a few highlights of Hunter. I like that even though Hunter has romance in it, it doesn't feel like full-on romance. It feels like an action book. There's tons of actions. Of course there are tons of actions. There's tons of action in the Valiant series. Tons of action throughout, fighting, sword fighting, kicking each other in the face, all kinds of things like that. Tons of action. In Hunter, the faith is incorporated naturally. When the faith comes up, like believing in God, when it comes up, it makes sense, and how it's worded is realistic. So those are the highlights of Hunter. You can watch the rest of my review by following the link in the description below. So the audiobook review. I reviewed the audiobook. The pace felt just right. I could understand each word, but the pace also never felt too slow. The characters in the book, the book has a big cast. Hunter has a huge cast. It's like Hunger Games / Mulan, and all these dudes are stuck in this place together, and like they don't all, it's not like Hunger Games, they all kill each other. It's like there's 2 groups, regular people and then the hunters who kill everybody, and so it's like just a bunch of people in this big thing where everybody has to survive, and it has a big cast, maybe like 20 characters, and all but 2 are males. And considering that, I think the narrator did a good job giving different characters different voices. Get like 18 guys to give different voices to, that's a lot. The narrator gave them subtly different voices, and so nobody sounded like outlandish, but I was able to tell all the characters apart, so that was good. Then the emotion. I did wish the narrator had worked more emotion into his tone. The dialogue definitely had more emotion than the prose, but the narration did sound kind of like mono emotion, just like one emotion throughout. So I like the paperback or ebook. I like the reading book better, how it sounds in my head, than the audiobook. But I'm also not an audiobook person, so I think if you are an audiobook person, go for it. Buy the audiobook instead of reading the paperback. If you're a paperback person, do that. Whichever way you do it, I think just depending on what you like best will help you enjoy the book best. Alright, so the next book in the Valiant series I'm going to review is called Forgotten, and it is a short prequel. It comes before the action in Hunter. So Forgotten, again, is by Joanna White. The genre is fantasy. It's a little bit dark, but it's part of a Christian fantasy series, the Valiant series. The audience would be new adult or young adult, and it's a short story, so you can easily read it in a few hours, and it tells how Jared, the main character in Hunter, becomes a hunter, and so it explains how all the hunters gain their abilities. So I really liked that. That was pretty interesting. If you've read Hunter, then this will add to your understanding. I like books that are like short additions to the regular book, and you're like, oh, I get to find out extra bits, and it's neat. If you haven't read Hunter, then Forgotten will likely make you interested in reading Hunter. So you can read it before you read Hunter or read it after you read Hunter. Either way, it works. And will make you want to read the other one. And since I edited it, I won't do positives and negatives. Just an I can't even speak. Endorsement. So Forgotten reveals the dark secrets behind Zagara prison and the Hunters. It tells the story of Jared's past, who he was, what changed him, and also the light that had always known and been fighting for him. So that's Forgotten. Next review I'm going to do / endorsement is Sightless by Joanna White in the Valiant series. Genre fantasy, Christian fantasy, action, a touch of romance. The audience, again, is new adult or young adult. It's a short story. You can read it in a few hours. And it tells what happens after Hunter. So you have Forgotten, Hunter, then Sightless. That's the order that chronologically. And you should read Sightless after you read Hunter. Don't read Sightless before you read Hunter. It goes after Hunter, definitely. And the positives of this one is it does tie up the story. It shows what happens to the main characters and connects them to the bigger story of the Valiant series. Joanna's little extra stories of the Valiant series show how the whole series connects. Like the main books, Hunter and Samurai and Assassin, they're kind of like in their own place. And then these little extras show how it connects to the whole thing. So that's cool. And after reading Hunter, I was glad I read Sightless. After I read Sightless, I was really glad. I felt like that gave you some closure. It gave you some connection. It just made me feel better about Jared's story. I enjoyed seeing how Radon came into the story. I won't say anything more about that. You'll just have to read it to find out what that means. And I appreciated the lessons of the importance of forgiving yourself and that it is good to ask for and accept help. This extra after story emphasized more the faith aspects and what Jared was going through. And the lessons are clear even though the character, Jared, dealing with them doesn't quite learn them yet. So you as a reader get it, even though the character doesn't fully get it yet. But he's got a lot of series to go. He's the first book in the series, so we'll see if he gets it eventually. The negatives were the characters went on a mission, but it wasn't clear if they met the goal or not. It was clear what happened, and what did happen was more important to the characters, but I still wish at least one line made it clear what happened in relation to the initial good. So this story, I read it after it was published. So that's why I'm doing positives and negatives. Because you're like, editor, well, why didn't you tell her that? Because I read it after. Okay, so overall, it was a satisfying conclusion to Hunter, and it had a clear connection to the bigger story. So Bound. This one is going to be an endorsement. Bound. Okay, so we have Hunter, and then Shifter and Assassin. I don't know what order those go in, and then Samurai, and then Rogue. So Rogue is the 5th book in the Valiant series, and Bound is the short story ending to Rogue. You have to read Bound. You don't have to read it, but if you're going to read Bound, you need to read it after you read Rogue. And I have a review of Rogue, and I will put that below so you can watch that and see Rogue. Rogue is so different than the other books in the Valiant series. They're like all the same. Like I said, Christian fantasy, a little bit dark, like lots of action, a touch of romance. But Rogue is like a Christian romance fantasy comedy with action, and it's funny. So that's what Rogue is. Just watch the review in the link below. So Bound is the short story that comes after Rogue. I hope this isn't confusing. Okay, so Bound continues Linnea and Linessa's story from the fantasy action romance Rogue. It provides closure, but also stirs up interests about the other books in the series. So that's my endorsement for Bound. You should definitely read it if you read Rogue, and if you're reading the series. These short stories that Joanna added to her series really fill it out and make everything more clear and more connected. It does a good job of that. So those are my 4 book reviews. Joanna's Valiant series is really cool and really action-packed and really fun and has so many different elements in it that I think anybody could enjoy the books. She's got another book coming out soon called Immortal in the series, and it is like historical fiction, action, fantasy, magic, romance, lots of action, gladiator fights, and it's just got like everything in it. And so like, just check her series out. She's got other books too and other series, but just check her series out and see which one like appeals to you the most, because you can read these in any, you can read the main books in the Valiant series in any order, and it doesn't mess you up. I think I read Hunter first like you're supposed to, but then I started jumping around. And then I became her editor and started doing them all in order. But you can kind of read them in any order, because like I said, each main book is kind of its own thing, but then it's all connected eventually. It's cool. You should check it out. So follow her on Instagram, go to her website. I'll put all these links and things below so you can check out her stuff. And thank you very much for watching. Share this video, like this video. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel. I think that's all I say. I don't remember sometimes. Okay, thank you for watching. Go check out Joanna White's stuff. Bye. If you want to know more about Anna Thalian or H.A. Pruitt, please follow me on Instagram at H.A. Pruitt. You can find me on Amazon as an Amazon author, H.A. Pruitt. Please watch my YouTube channel and all my cool videos on my channel, H.A. Pruitt Anna Thalian. You can find me on the Facebook page, H.A. Pruitt Anna Thalian. You can follow me on Goodreads by the name H.A. Pruitt and the book Anna Thalian, or you can go to my website where so much cool stuff about Anna Thalian is. The website is hapruitt.com.